Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be going over some of the statistical information from VREB with regards to what happened in November 2020 in our market. I'm also going to be going over how to position yourself now that we know these numbers, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in today's ultra competitive marketplace. I'm also going to give a little foresight as to where I think things are going in the new year, and again, how to position yourself whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest.
I just want to go over with you kind of what's been going on in the market and my take on what's happening now, and what's going to be happening shortly, and how, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, how you should be positioning yourself in different things that you should be looking out for. So, the first page here that I want to share with you, this is the breakdown, the press release from VREB about the statistics, what happened in November, and I think everybody knows that the market in Greater Victoria has been going absolutely bonkers. And so you see these, really robust numbers, up 21.8%, 795 properties sold, which was 37.8% more than, November of last year, things like that. But I've really found in my experience as a realtor and as a real estate investor, it's really easy to get lost in numbers and to not really understand exactly what they're saying so that you can take action and actually use those numbers. So I want to go over some things with you quickly. So this first graph here, this is the active listings versus the number of sales. And so you can see here that there is a, natural, just a cyclical every year. As we get into the holidays, active listings tend to dip. And the real reason for that is people don't want strangers in their home over the holidays. Hey, look at my Christmas tree and my presents. And it feels like more of an invasion of privacy than normal. And I know COVID has changed this a lot. There's a lot more 3D tours going on, so people aren't actually coming through the home, but maybe they don't want photos of the interior of their home done up like Christmas, because hey, what if the listing sits until after Christmas and now it just looks like an old outdated photo. There's some different things like that, but what I want you to pay attention to here is this bottom in the blue. And so this is the active number of sales, and so what you're looking for is the ratio from active listings to actual sales, right? Because that gives you what you need to know about supply and demand. Which way is this trending? Is this more of a seller's market, or is this more of a buyer's market? And you'll see here, again, there's kind of some natural peaks and valleys going on here every year until you hit this year. And I know this doesn't show, like, it's only December 11th today, so there's not a lot of really good information about this month, but we're relatively on track to do what we did last year. But sometimes it's hard to tell by the graph. So I can look at the numbers here. I mean, if you go back to January 2019, we were sitting at, what's that, about a third of this homes or properties listed, sold, right? So about 30%. But if you come down here, we're at like just about half. So what that tells us is that there's a lot more buyers. Almost half of the active listings every month are being sold. Um, that is very much in favor of the sellers. And so that's why we call it a seller's market, because there's more buyers competing for less amount of inventory that's available. So if I go over here, this is just, single family homes, right? So, and I've only done it for the year. So active listings, and then compare it to sales. And this is where we can see a bit more of that, like very heavily slanted in the seller's market. We have, over half of the active single family homes sold in November. So extremely slanted towards sellers. But that it's awesome for sellers, it's not as enjoyable for buyers. And if you're a buyer in the market right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a seller in the market right now, you probably have an idea of what I'm talking about too. If I move to this one is strata units. So I included half duplex townhomes and condos, and you can see here it's not quite as robust. It's still obviously quite active, especially in November. But for the other months, it definitely did pick up, kind of starting in June, which, as a boots on the ground person, that's exactly what we see. And typically, as boots on the ground, like, we'll have an idea of what's going on now, but it takes a month or two to be able to put that in perspective data wise. But this very much fits in with what we've been seeing here. I don't expect condos to be as attractive as single family homes as COVID continues to do its thing and people are starting to want more space and this whole working from home thing. But there seems to be some headway in making sure that the insurance component of stratas is reined in, because that really was, was the nail in the coffin for a lot of strata sales and people looking at stratas. It's like, well, when does the insurance come up? Because it could go up 80, 100, 200%, and then our strata fees go through the roof and all of a sudden we can't afford it. Or if it's an investment property, all of a sudden we're underwater. So I'm hoping, I'm believing that over the next year, it'll probably flatline. I think those two things will kind of balance out. And then we'll see, we'll continue to see net migration here as well, which will help. Okay, this is median days to sell and median sold price. And these numbers in and of themselves kind of lie. And let me tell you why. So this is based off of when it is first listed, but you'll see some properties, a realtor can go on the back end and look at the historical listings. And sometimes you'll see a property relisted 3, 4, 5 times. And it's, when they did the big price drop or like the market just kicked into gear, that listing sold in, 14 days, but really they've been trying to sell it for 2 years. And so I don't really know how to properly calculate for that without spending like a week of time doing so. But this is, in general, this gives us a pretty good idea of what's going on here. And you'll see, again, that spike over the holidays, days to sell go up. There's not as many listings. And the listings that have been there, obviously they're not quite moving at the same pace. I'll be very curious to see what this spike looks like over this year, because there are so many active buyers out there still looking for a place to be. And then sold price median, you can see that it's just been, slowly going up, and, that's a difference. And this is across all asset classes, so from mobile homes all the way up to, 4,000 square foot luxury homes. But you can see that overall it's been trending upwards to the tune of, $60,000, $40,000, or sorry, almost $100,000. And then lastly here, what I want to advise you right now, if you're a seller in this market, position yourself to sell. If you know that you have a dog of a property and it's been hard to sell before, put it on the market now. Position it competitively, or rather in a compelling manner, to get multiple offers, and you'll hopefully get an unconditional offer from buyers going through buyer's fatigue. I recently wrote on one of these properties for a client. We ended up doing what's called a bully offer, because if I scroll down here, for instance, on this one, we're seeing a lot of this. Offers, if any, sent in by, this is called a delayed offer. And so when it's really, really busy and there's lots of buyers, they want to make sure to cram them all in together, review them all at the same time to make sure that they get the best one. So if you're a seller and you have a bit of a tired or hard property and you know that it's got some issues, you want to do this, and you want to price it, position it in a compelling manner, because you want an unconditional offer. You don't want someone to go through the inspection and end up beating you up on it. So we wrote on a property similar to this one, submitted a bully offer. My clients really wanted it. The only subject was an inspection. It was like a 2 or 3 day subject. They ended up turning it down, and I got a call from the listing agent. She was like, look, we had an offer before it ever hit the market. It didn't end up going through because of the inspection. So if you're going to write an offer, it has to be without the inspection. Well, what does that tell you? That tells you that there's obviously enough wrong with the property that someone else walked away after doing proper due diligence. Now, the seller ended up winning because they did delayed offers. They got an offer $80,000 over asking, unconditional. Huge win for the seller. Extremely frustrating for the buyer. But if you're in that position, you should absolutely try and take advantage of that. Do not hide things. If you know of something, you have to disclose it. But it's a real opportunity for you right now. Conversely, as a buyer, with prices trending upward, and I don't believe that there's going to be any radical shift anytime soon. I mean, who saw COVID coming, so who really knows? But all things being equal, I don't see demand slowing down. Interest rates are low. There's still a lot of net migration in from across Canada, even though our borders are closed. So I think that prices are going up. I think that competition will stay really fierce for these types of properties. And so if you're a buyer, unless you're looking for your forever home, if you just need a home, get into the market. Get into the market now, because if you wait even 4, 5, 6 months, it may be out of your price point now. And I have a couple buyers that are going through that right now. You know, we had properties tied up 3, 4 months ago, and now they've gone up 40 grand, and that just tipped it over the edge where that home is no longer available for them financing wise. But please be careful, because as I said, for the sellers, now is a really good time for owners to offload properties that have problems, because there's buyers are losing out on 5, 6, 7 properties. They're getting frustrated. They're making unconditional offers. It's fierce out there. Money is everywhere because of, you know, interest rates and such, and people migrating here who actually have money. And I'm not saying that to try and belittle what's happening or what's happened with COVID and people losing their jobs, but there are a lot of people here who do have money and are actively looking for properties. So competition's up. So as a buyer, make sure that you're doing your due diligence. Don't get stuck with a lemon of a property that now you have to sell because the foundation's crumbling and you're going to lose your shirt. But if you can, get into the market now. Get into the market now, because the market's only going up. The discrepancy between us and Vancouver is too high. The number of people moving here is too high. The lack of inventory is horrific. So anyway, I hope that this actually encourages you and helps give you an action plan if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest. If you don't have a realtor here, I'd love to be that for you. Thanks so much.